to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control.
Welcome to the FL4K pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. And today, I'm going to be going over my U-RAKK flak build for Mayhem 10. Now, this build mainly centers around using U-RAD, and for people out there that don't know what U-RAD is just basically the anointment to where when you're under 50% health, you gain 150% bonus radiation damage. And since we are using mainly RAKK attack for this build, I thought it would be a cool play on words, you know, U-RAD, U-RAKK. Anyway, moving on to the video itself, this build is very versatile. It'll help you with the takedowns. You could do basically any content in the game with this build, and I think it's one of my more enjoyable builds so far. It's one of those raw damage flak builds to where the damage is kind of unmatched with other builds. You're not really sacrificing anything but survivability with this. But then again, what survivability does flak have without Gamma Burst? But anyway, before we get into the video, as always, you guys have been killing it recently. Make sure you hit the like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and want to join the flak pack. And hit that bell so you guys don't miss out on any future Mayhem 10 flak build videos. And yeah, I have a cool little project coming up. I'm going to be using a bunch of Iridium on the gun. That will be a video coming up soon, so make sure you guys are tuned in for that. But anyway, let's get right into the build skill tree. So starting off into the Hunter skill tree, we're putting 5 points in Interplanetary Stalker. Overall, good gun damage, good pet damage, a bunch of different bonuses, and the action skill damage is actually pretty beneficial with RAKK attack. Now before, I believe this got fixed about a week or two ago, the gun damage did not work with this skill, but now that it works, it's a very awesome skill for flak because you're getting that 13% damage per stack, and it stacks up to 3 times. 3 out of 3 and to leave no trace to get our bullets back in the magazine when we hit a critical hit. This only has about 1 or 2 uses for the overall build that I'll get into later. 2 out of 5 to second intention for a little bit more reload speed. 5 out of 5 in a Hunter's Eye, so we get all the bonus benefits. Now, we do have 7 out of 5 from our class mod. This is just going to benefit us greatly when it comes to damage reduction against Beast. And when it comes to the Maliwan takedown, you're almost doing 50% more armor damage, which is amazing. 3 points in the head count, so when we hit a critical hit, we get our action skill back quicker. And of course, they did fix head count with RAKK attack. It does have a weird little loop bug. 3 out of 3 into the most dangerous game, so when we kill a badass, we get bonus crit damage, bonus gun damage, and we get a little bit bonus handling. But since we have 6 out of 3, those bonuses are basically doubled. Now, this does not include the extra 30% damage from big game, which we're also going to put 3 points into, because it'll boost our hunter skill effects by 30% and double the duration of all of our hunt kill skills. 1 point to Galactic Shadow for the 15% raw critical hit damage. 5 out of 5 in the Grim Harvest, so we get 15% gun damage and 50% action skill damage for our RAKK attack. Yes, the RAKK attacks are going to be a viable part of this build. And finally, 1 point to Megavore Capstone, so of course we get that 20% chance to crit no matter what. Over into the Stalker skill tree. This tree looks a little bit different from most of my builds, and you'll understand why here in a second. But we do have 5 points in the self-repairing systems for the maximum health and health regeneration. We are going to be running are we running a stopgap with this build or a front loader? I believe we are running a front loader. Yes, we are running a front loader so we can get our U-RAD bonuses. So a little bit more health is going to help a tinsy-wincy bit. But then again, Sikkim and all my BFFs wouldn't be worth the investment compared to self-repairing systems, because self-repairing systems has saved me sometimes with this build. 5 points in the Furious Attack, which is a hunt skill, which will be boosted by big game. So basically, when we shoot an enemy, we get a stack of Furious Attack. This stacks up to 10 times, so we're getting a little bit over 20% gun damage at max stacks. 5 points in Overclock, so we get bonus fire rate and even more bonus fire rate for 4 seconds after reloading. Very good for those slow firing guns or rocket launchers. 5 points in Eager to Impress. Now this is different. You guys may be asking, why are you running Eager to Impress and head count? Well, the thing is, I want RAKK attacks all the time. I want our RAKK attacks to always be active. And granted, you could put these 3 points into second intention, but me personally, sometimes you can't really rely on Eager to Impress to get your action skill back. And depending on the gun you're using, you can't always rely on head count to get your action skill back. I just wanted this build to be more versatile to where you can use any certain gun and it wouldn't impact the performance. Like if I was going to use a shotgun, head count is going to be way more beneficial than Eager to Impress. But if I'm using something like an SMG to where it's getting a lot of kills but not hitting a lot of projectiles, Eager to Impress is going to be more worth it, and at the same time, head count will also be proccing. So they're basically helping each other out so we get infinite rack attacks. Thread 3 into Turn Tail and Run. Yes, when we're standing still, we get gun damage and fire rate, and on the move, we do get damage reduction and health regeneration, which is always nice for flak. Now, we all know flak isn't the most survivable, but the standing still bonus with the gun damage and fire rate is really the reason we put points into this. 1 point to lick the wounds, because of course, you gotta have your pet there to have your back, gotta have your pet revive you, and you know, just get the perk. It's part of the flak pack, get the perk, so your pet can actually be pretty useful in many situations. You down yourself, he'll be right there for you. 1 point to Rage and Recover. This is simply to move further into the tree, because Hidden Machine isn't going to be procced much here, and even if it was, 6% is not even worth the point. And we're not going to get the benefits from the Fast and the Furious because we have to be above half health for this to even take effect. And finally, the capstone of the power inside. Now, a lot of people might argue about this, saying, why would you not get this if you're not getting the 50% full benefit? Because you have to be at full health to get this. Well, 2 reasons. Sometimes we will be getting this benefit, and other times we won't. Now, no matter what, when we use Rack Attack, we're always getting the 25% damage for 15 seconds. We're not going to be using U-RAKK every single time we play with this build. I'll go over that when we get to the gear. And for your last point, I just popped 1 point into Persistence Hunter for the action skill duration and damage, because if you want, this could turn into a fadeaway build pretty dang easily. You could switch right to a fadeaway crit build with a single button press. But the reasoning behind this, if you really wanted to, you can put 1 point into second intention, so it's 3 out of 5 if you want a little bit more reload. If you're strictly using this for a Rack Attack build, I recommend not putting this 1 point into Persistence Hunter. I would put that into second intention. But if you want to switch on and off from Rack Attack and Fadeaway, definitely put it into Persistence Hunter. Now, as for your action skill itself, we do have Rack Attack along with Flock and Load for your additional racks. And we have Rack Accelerate, so we get an extra charge, and we get Rack Attack back even faster. Now, as for your pet, I am going to be going with Spider and Scorcher for the elemental damage, because we're using quite a few elemental weapons here. And if you really wanted to, if we're going to switch over to a Jacob shotgun or anything of that nature, you can always put on the Gunslinger Jabber. He will give us critical hit damage and movement speed. Now, as for our Guardian rank, all Guardian rank perks and bonus stats will be disabled for the purpose of this build. Every clip you've seen in this video, every clip you're going to see, no Guardian rank, no bonus perks, no bonus stats, none of that bull crap. It's just the raw damage of the build and gear. And over to the Mayhem 10 modifiers. Before Gearbox is going to disable one of those modifiers, I don't even have that modifier rolled, but I see a lot of people complaining about that. I forgot the name of it. It's some chain modifier, but I don't have it on here. I have Speed Demon for the movement speed, Healy Avenger because it's neutral, Ticked Off because we're not using status effect damage, and Postmortem because I hate this game. Now, I kind of have a lot to go over here because I did state that this is a U-RAKK flak build, but you have the option of getting action skill and splash damage, and in some cases, this is 10 times better than U-RAKK, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Splash damage on action skill end for splash damage weapons, obviously you're getting 50% more damage, but because we don't need U-RAKK active, I have an old god in every element here, except, I don't think I have one in cryo. I don't have a cryo old god. I might pop that in there before this save file is over. But what I'm trying to say is, if you put on an old god, you're going to get the elemental damage bonus on top of the 200%. So we're getting 220% bonus damage with our splash damage weapons other than the 150 U-RAKK. So in some situations, splash damage on action skill end is actually going to be more beneficial for you than the U-RAKK itself. Now, it's not going to be the same for every gun. Something like the Gargoyle on action skill end splash is way better. The Flipper is a splash damage weapon, so definitely get it on that, but I do believe I have a Flipper with U-RAKK if you really wanted to. That's completely up to you. But me, my advice, anything splash damage, get 200% on action skill end. You're going to do more damage, you're going to have more survivability because you're no longer in the U-RAKK state, and you're overall going to have a more fun time when you have the splash damage. Now, I did make a build similar to this in the past. If you guys want to click in the top right about now, you guys can see I made a splash flak rack attack build, and it wasn't really refined. It wasn't refined to the point that this build is. I didn't put as much thought into that build as I wanted to. You guys can still check it out because it's way more splash orientated, but you can basically do what that build was made for in this build 2 times better. I just want to make that clear because that video got a lot of likes and a lot of views and you guys wanted an updated version of that. This basically is kind of the updated version of that build. Now, in terms of the weapons you guys want to farm, because I know not all of my viewers are PC players, you guys download about 40%. I would say about 40% of you guys that watch my videos download my save files. So for the people that are on console, what anointments should you be looking for? Well, you should definitely look for U-RAKK anointments with your favorite weapons, any weapon that you like. This build isn't secluded to certain gear. You use what you want to use that you like to use that does damage. You're getting so many bonus benefits here. If you're running any U-RAKK weapon in the game, I don't care if it sucks, I don't care if it's amazing, you're getting the 150% bonus radiation. And on top of that, you're going to be getting your 250% bonus damages from using RAKK attack. So you're already at 250% bonus damage on whatever weapon you want. But anyway, as for the weapon usage, we do have the Robin's Call, my new favorite shotgun in the game, as you guys know. Honestly, I think it's better than the Stagecoach. I never run out of ammo with this thing. Sometimes I don't even reload through a whole Athena's run, and it's awesome to use. We do have our Hedgehog for our quick boss kills. I do have, I believe, a electric one. I'll probably throw in another corrosive one so you guys can do Wotan kills with it. Really fast Wotan kills with that rocket launcher. We do have a Gargoyle, which is probably one of the best pistols in the game when it comes to dealing corrosive damage. It's insane how much damage this gun really does. We do have the Plumage, and this is another underrated weapon. The Plumage was featured in my other builds, and this thing is so freaking underrated. Bunch of splash damage radius, bunch of splash damage in general, very ammo efficient, and it clears out a bunch of enemies. Now we do have some U-RAKK Anarchies for your bossing. We do have the proprietary license, which is also a great choice. We have the Reflux, because Reflux, obviously, the Reflux is going to be used for Guardian Takedown, Maliwan Takedown, all that type of stuff. We do have a Beacon, and this doesn't have any good anointment, but I found out that the Beacon doesn't really need a good anointment. You could toss yours in here if you want to, but I could not farm any type of Beacon. Honestly, it's been rough. As for your flippers, I do have a bunch of different flippers with ASE splash damage. We do have the Bright Side with U-RAKK. This is amazing TDR truck weapon. Highly recommend it. We do have the Moonfire with U-RAKK. Now, this is very subjective to most areas. Sometimes it does damage, sometimes it doesn't. If it's your playstyle, go ahead, try it. If it's not, don't have to worry about it. And we do have the Bitch. Now, the Bitch is one of those SMGs that personally I love. I'm actually going to use it for the purpose of the showcase because I don't think I used a lot of it in my intro sequence. It's underrated for Flak. It's very, very underrated when it comes to him because it's a great weapon. It's a great crit weapon and it has a lot of potential. If it gets buffed in the future, it's going to be a very, very viable Mayhem 10 weapon. It already is almost pretty viable. It could kill Tron pretty quick. It could do general mobbing, but I think it needs a little boost to make it a very great weapon. Now we do have the Killer-Wisp with the U-RAKK anointment as well. Very great for mobbing. And we do have a bunch of backburners with ASE Splash. This is basically your bossing, your big enemies, Maliwan Takedown, your Valkyries, all that type of stuff. And we have a Maggie with U-RAKK. This is for your general mobbing. I really love this pistol, honestly. And it's in a good state right now. It's not too powerful, but it's also not too weak. Very nice pistol. And we do have some Plague Bearers for the bridge on the Maliwan Takedown, or if you just want to use them on the Guardian Takedown. Not my favorite thing in the Guardian Takedown because it's very secluded, but Maliwan Takedown, these things are pretty awesome. And now we're going to go into our shields. Like I said before, we have an Old God in every element, and we do have your front loader for the U-RAKK activation. I'm not going to put in a death list here because the death list is not worth it, in my opinion. If you have a good, maybe, RAKK attack survival setup to where you're using something like the stopgap with action skills start anointments, it might work, but you're losing out on 50% damage with that. So in terms of most damage in this build, that's why I'm not going to put a death list. Now in terms of your grenades, I have a grenade in every ASE element so you can mix and match with your abilities. Now this is a low level Hunter Seeker. I actually got this from Thick Fillet, if you guys know who Thick Fillet is. I got this from his save file. I was like, hey, I could use a Hunter Seeker that's low level so it doesn't do a bunch of damage, but it still procs Megavore. As for your relic, I know not a lot of people have the DLC, so if you don't have the Pearl, I do have some Snowdrifts here. We have an auto idol, so every time we get a kill, we get some health. or a victory rush, so every time we kill a badass we get 18% damage and movement speed for a minute, which is also really nice. And if you want to look for certain roles, magazine size, area of effect damage, weapon specific damage is what you really want to go for here. And finally, the big part I'm going to have to talk about is class mods. Class mods are going to play a huge role with this build, and you're going to be class mod switching quite a bit here, and I'll explain why. Now, I have a class mod for every situation. I'm going to go over them really quickly here. We do have this Bounty Hunter equipped, which is heavy weapon damage, and splash. This is all for your rocket launcher kills. We have another Bounty Hunter with pistol, magazine size, and weapon mag. Now, this is going to be for all your pistols, all that kind of stuff. Very self-explanatory. But this one right here, Hyperion crit, SMG damage, and weapon damage. That's going to be for the bitch SMG exclusively. Because I have so much fun with this SMG. You could even use it with the license if you want to. But it's just such a fun SMG to use. I'll get to that in a minute. Let me finish up on the class mods. We have another Bounty Hunter. These all have +2 into Hunter's Eye and 3 points into the most dangerous game. They all have the same exact rolls. And the Jacobs crit, the shotgun damage, the weapon damage, that's going to be for your Robin's Call. If you really want to, you could pop this on, switch to 3-shot fadeaway, and have a completely different build in general. If you really wanted to, it would work out fine. And we do have a U-RAKK pack. If you want to do more damage with your U-RAKK attacks, it has splash damage to benefit that. This is more of a versatile mod. If you're not looking for bounty hunters and you want the most out of your U-RAKK attack, pop this on because it puts 2 points into Grim Harvest. But yeah, that is the basic rundown of this build, but I want to show you guys what the bitch can do. This SMG it's awesome. So let me get all these things out of the way. I want to attack command these guys. I don't want to get targeted. Do that right there. Let's do some rack attack, and let's just do a little bit of damage here. And as you can see, when we hit them in the crit spot, it's doing a decent amount of damage on these guys. Let me just make sure I have the right rolls going here. I wanted fire and shock. Let me switch over to shock. There it is. And that's how easy it is. Just switch off your elements like that. Now, the thing about this SMG is, as you saw, you need very class mod specific rolls for this to be slightly, actually viable. But I think you guys can see where the potential of this SMG is. If this would be an amazing flak SMG for the future, especially with all the damage buffs we're getting here on top of a buff to the weapon itself, would be amazing. But this is just really for your trash mob clearing. It's gonna do more than perfect for you. And this is with no points in the two-fang, so we're technically not even getting the maximum damage out of it. Ooh, legendary. But yeah, guys, that's basically the general rundown of this build. It's a very fun build to mess around with, and honestly, it's very versatile. It's very fun to use, and it's one of those builds I'm probably not going to see a lot around on YouTube, because, it's been known that this is his best way to do the most damage as flak. But when it comes down to it, it's versatile. You could use whatever gun you want. And that's what I like most about it. You don't have to worry about all the little bull crap about the build. You can simply find a gun you like with the right anointment and have fun with it. If you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure you leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack. We're about to hit 4,000 subscribers, so I am really excited for that. You guys are just freaking amazing. You guys blow me away every day. Oh, and if you guys want to, make sure you join my Flak Pack Discord. The link will be in the description below, along with the PC save file. But anyway, I hope you guys have a terrific day. Make sure you stay safe during these times. And me and Scorch Jr. over here will see you guys later.